Well, I guess I figured it out. Sorry. I need to do something about my camera. Just hold on a second. That's a little bit better. Oh my goodness. Technology, huh? Previously I was doing this on my Chromebook, and I finally got a webcam. So now I'm using my PC, and it's not totally new, but it's enough new that it got me again. So thanks for being patient. I'm so glad that all of you are here. It's good to see so many people joining in. So hi, Sarah and Nick and Tommy and Lydia, James, Nick again. Yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, I have a better picture quality, James, because I got this little camera. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Sarah. I'm glad to know I look good on this camera. Yeah. So I'm hoping to see all of you and how good you're looking when we go over to Zoom. I did post the Zoom link in the chat box up at the top, so you can find it there, and I'll try to post it again later. Sarah's asking, how's my foot? It's okay, but for some reason my toes are swollen. So we rewrapped. I called the doctor, and he said, unwrap your foot, rewrap it very loosely. So actually, George and I had already decided to do that before we talked to him. So we did that, and I've been trying to keep my foot elevated. I think the toes have gone down a little bit, but they're still kind of swollen. But everything, I still can wiggle them. My toes are still pink. So I think it's okay. I have an appointment day after tomorrow, and we'll see what the doc says. But I think it's all right. So, it's all good. Thank you for asking. Hope everybody else is doing well. There's been so much turmoil in Dallas and the area. I know that's on a lot of us. I know that's on our minds. And tonight, in a little bit, I'll read the 5 mindfulness trainings. If you have a copy of this at your house, you might pull it up. It's interesting to me that it seems like we just did this like a few days ago, but I guess it has been a month. And yeah, it's just amazing how quickly the time is going. So we will read the 5 mindfulness trainings in a little bit. I'd like to begin with 3 sounds of the bell. And then I just kind of something to be aware of. Before we do our contemplation, I want to read a poem to you that someone on the Order of Interbeing website, the thread, I guess it's a community email kind of thing. It's a really, I think it's a really beautiful poem. And it reminds me a bit of the poetry of Thich Nhat Hanh and the way that it's written and the way that it finishes up. So we'll do 3 sounds of the bell, the contemplation before sitting, and then I'll read this poem, and we'll do our guided meditation.
Contemplation before sitting. The Sangha is invited to go back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness brings us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, generate peace as one body, be true as one body. Let us transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. We are aware that the happiness and suffering of all people is also our own happiness and suffering. We see ourselves in all people and all people in ourselves. We are one with those caught in situations of oppression. We are also one with the oppressors. We are one with the wise and good people who are present everywhere in the world. We are one with those who are able to embrace the whole of this world with their heart of love and their two arms of caring action. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. We see that we are not alone. The love and the joy of great beings who are present in this world are supporting us, not allowing us to drown in despair, and showing us the way of compassion and right action. This poem was written by an OI member. Maybe he may be a monk. I don't know. There's nothing but a name. And it says, Zum ex vo. I can't breathe, said George Floyd, the knee of 400 years of racism on his neck. I can't breathe, said the woman with fear in her eyes, her lungs attacked by coronavirus as she was put onto the ventilator. I can't breathe, said the nurse, exhausted after a long shift, sweating under a hot surgical mask and foggy goggles. I can't breathe, said the young man, poisoned by a toxic drug supply and generations of trauma and loss. I can't breathe, said the 100,000 dead Americans, a nation and a world in mourning. I can't breathe, said cities choked in smoke from a planet on fire. Breathe, my dear, said the Buddha of our time, reminding us of the way to love and healing and transformation. Breathe, my dear, said the beloved community, grieving and waking up together. Breathe, my dear, said Mother Earth, and let my oceans, mountains, and forests embrace you. Right now, when it seems so hard just to breathe, right now, just breathe. So let's begin our meditation with a collective breath and one sound at the bell.
So I invite you to gently close your eyes. We typically use breath and body to find our way into the present moment, because breath and body are always residing in the present moment. Our senses can also provide a portal into the present moment. A key point to remember is to do our best to avoid labeling or putting a story to whatever we're sensing. And just do our best to notice. So let's first begin by noticing any discomfort, anything in the body that would distract from our ability to be present. And with just a few breaths and that awareness, notice if the discomfort fades a little, or that you simply can concentrate on your breath, even while noticing that discomfort. If you need to make any adjustments in your posture, that's fine. Just do it mindfully. Often we discover that when our eyes are closed, other senses become more acute. And so you might just take a moment to notice what sound you're aware of. An air conditioner fan, some sound from outside, other sounds from inside your home. Just let those sounds be an invitation to be really present with the sound. Feeling your body merging with the sound. And while you're experiencing that, you can continue to give some attention to the breath. And now let your attention go to the feeling of touch. Perhaps your hands are touching your legs or touching one another. Perhaps you feel your feet touching the floor, your bottom in the chair or on the cushion. If you're lying down, you feel the support of the bed or the chair or the couch. Just let yourself be aware of the things that your body is touching. Feel the texture of your clothing as you touch your leg. Feel the quality of the chair or the cushion, the bed, the couch, whatever it is you're sitting or lying down on. And as you begin to be quite aware of these sensations of touch, let go of any concern to name what it feels like. And just be present with the feeling, the touch, the sensation. Perhaps you have your eyes closed, as I do. Sometimes, even with our eyes closed, we get images or colors. Or maybe just a really soft, soothing darkness. Whatever it is, just sit with it. Be at home with it. No resistance and no clinging. Just be with it. Let's explore the sensation of smell. Is there any kind of aroma that's floating into your experience? Maybe there's just the clean air smell. Or whatever it is, just let yourself experience it. Again, no judgments. No need to say, oh, that smells bad or that smells good. No, just let it be, whatever it is. When turning our attention to the sense of taste, we may not have much of an opportunity to sense a taste. during this meditation. But we can notice what our mouths feel like, the sensation of your tongue running over your teeth, the sensation of the lips making a little smile perhaps. Just let that little smile relax your cheeks and your jaws. With all of these portals open, you may find yourself to be quite sensitive. Just do your best to be with it, not trying to block anything out, not trying to cling to something that may be pleasant, but just sitting with what is. So we've explored all of the five senses. We have not talked about consciousness. So let's look at that aspect. We explored the sense of touch. Are you a sense of touch? Or do you have a sense of touch? Are you the aromas that you smell? No, you have a sense of smell. With each of these senses, we can know that we are not just that one thing. We are much, much more than that. So I invite you to use your consciousness. Some people call it the big mind. Let your consciousness, your thought, your mind kind of settle into a really place, a still place within you. It really doesn't matter where you feel it. And it doesn't matter how strongly you feel it either. It really doesn't even matter if you feel it at all. Just be with whatever happens. Let it be. Nothing to gain, nothing to judge, nothing to resist, just be. I invite you to just settle into this state of being for a few minutes. You might want to use your breath as a kind of an anchor. No worries if thoughts come up, just let them go away with your exhale. Just breathe, just be. And you can just let the sound of the bell invite you to gently open your eyes and breathe into this spaciousness that we have created together. Sometimes after a meditation, I just really don't want to talk. But in this setting, that's like not even an option. So I will talk a little bit and get ready for the 5 mindfulness trainings. I hope you enjoyed that meditation. I just kind of felt my way through it. And I guess it's what I needed, and I hope it's what you needed. I don't know if any of you who are on this live stream right now, I don't know if any of you are unfamiliar with the 5 mindfulness trainings. I know from the names that I see, I'm guessing that everybody is familiar. So I won't say too much, but I like to read from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Mindfulness Survival Kit. And it just has so many wonderful comments about the 5 mindfulness trainings. And so if you have been through the transmission ceremony for the 5 mindfulness trainings, at the end of each reading, I will say something like, have you made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? And then you just think to yourself whether or not you have. There is no 5 mindfulness training police. There's no survey that you have to take that says, yes, I did this or I didn't do that. No confessionals. It's just a reminder that these are guides. And it's up to us to look within and say, well, I did okay, but I could do better. And that's probably been my response ever since I took the 5 mindfulness trainings transmission. I find that there are some elements in each of the trainings that are relatively easy for me to follow, and then there are some that are more difficult. And it is the challenging ones that I think have helped me to grow the most, which is not a surprise because it's the challenges in our practice that help us wake up, that help us see things in a new way. It's very like exercising. One way to train our muscles and strengthen them is to stress them a little bit, challenge them. And so when we're challenging our perspectives, our views, our mindset, it's an opportunity to look at it again and see if we can deepen our understanding and see how the perception shifts. That's certainly been my experience. So the 5 mindfulness trainings, these are Thich Nhat Hanh's adaptation or version of the Buddha's 5 precepts. The Buddha's precepts were very succinct. Not quite cryptic, but very succinct. And so Thich Nhat Hanh has written these trainings as a way to help us train our minds. That's why it's called a mindfulness training. Train our minds in living in a way that we honor and that we be in harmony with the Buddha's 5 precepts. So, the first mindfulness training. Reverence for life. Aware of suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. This is the first of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Have we made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering, that true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of beings on Earth and reverse the process of global warming. This is the second of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Have we made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? The third mindfulness training, Truelove. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and to cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the 4 basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. This is the third of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Have we made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? The 4th mindfulness training. Deep listening and loving speech. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. This is the 4th of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Have we made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? The 5th mindfulness training. Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I'm determined not to try to cover up loneliness, sorry, something in the way. I'm determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. This is the 5th of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Have we made an effort to study and practice it during the last month? Well, I'm really interested to see what you have to add, what you've been most conscious of. Certainly, all 5 of those trainings are very, very relevant in our world today. They're always relevant, but they seem especially relevant now, especially the first one and the second one and the fourth one. So let me give you the Zoom link again. And also want to give you a link for donating. There are actually a couple of links for donating. I'll just do all of that. Okay, it doesn't like to have that much stuff in there, I guess. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry, I don't think you can put that much stuff in the chat box. So, let me try this again. You can help us continue these programs by donating. Couple of ways to do that. Yeah, I know the Zoom link is at the top. I wanted to get the donation link in here. James, thank you. So quick way to do it is to text mindful to 43211. And another way, let me do this. Another way to donate, I will put in the chat box if it'll let me. There we go. Using your computer, just go to dallasmeditations.com/give. And of course, we always take PayPal. So look at the top of the screen for the Zoom link. And I hope all of you will migrate over to Zoom because I'd love to see your shiny, smiling faces. And I will close out this meeting and meet you over in Zoom. But first, I'd really like to close this part with the closing chant and sharing the merit. Countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless dharma doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. Practicing the way of awareness and mindfulness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. Okay, I'll see you on Zoom.